Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen, normally with me. Stevenson Sylvester. Where did Sly just go? I've been hanging out with Sly all afternoon, and he busts out of here. Man, this isn't even like a... So, now, look, I will say this. I'm not going to be the guy that goes, Sly just showed up from pulling in the parking garage, because that's not you. He shows up. I will say Sly comes in and preps more than any fill-in host I've ever had. But there was a moment just now for the last 90 seconds, and I guarantee you got caught up. Somebody wanted to chat with you.
All the time. And I'm the guy.
Hey, you're that guy.
I can't stop. Like, I'm just like,
No,
man,
I know.
I can't just be like, I got to go. No,
I'm the same way. But, yeah, look, Sly's popular.
My bad.
I'm out there, and, Rebecca from F100 goes out there, and she's like, did you just graduate? Now, remind me, you just graduated, right? That's a compliment. Now, on the one hand...
She wasn't looking at my beard.
I bet it doesn't even matter. Like, Sly rolls in, and you could be 23 and a half, you could be 33 and a half, and I think that you'd probably get the same reaction.
Can we get that segment? Because I got to tell my wife, she keeps every single day before I wake up. You know how I send myself affirmations? She's like, oh, you're washed up. She tells me every single day. And so I'm just like, I need her to hear that. Like, people don't think what you
People think I just graduated. They're like, you're Sly, right? You're Stevenson Sylvester. I hear you on the Utah broadcast. Now... What did you graduate? 2018? 19?
Sure. I wish.
I love it. Stevenson Sylvester here for another day. Thanks for hanging out, Sly. We appreciate it, man.
Of course, man. Love it.
In the booth, Christian Esparza. What's up, Christian? How you doing, man? Everything good today?
Doing great, yeah. Happy to be here.
Christian filling in for Jeremy. Everybody gets to come in and fill in on JJ and Alex if you'd like. JJ's out of town. Jeremy's out. We can do this.
Open opportunity.
Yeah, look, we can do this. We'll be fine. Let's get things kicked off. We've got so many things to do. Our show is always brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. We got some stuff to jump into today, and it's going to be a fun day. It's a Jazz game day, first of all. So we've got Jazz to talk about. We're going to get you ready. 7 o'clock tip, that means a 6 o'clock pregame. So right when our show ends, you're getting the pregame with Jake Scott and Tim Lacombe, and then you get the call from David Locke. We're expecting to talk to David Locke probably in about an hour. We've got all sorts of things. I still want to – we're at that moment. If you had a good bracket, this is what I love. When you have a good bracket, the gap between the last games and the first games, you get to run those laps around people, be like, yeah, I'm in the lead, no big deal.
Made it further than you. I made it further.
I'm in second, no big deal.
Right.
And you get to hang out in that space for a good week, and then we all get the rug ripped out from under us. But then if you have a good regional finals weekend too, when you get the Final Four set and maybe your guys are still there, you get to brag for another week. And that's where I'm hoping to be at some point, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Who did you have?
This year?
Yeah.
Now I'm middle of the pack this year. But again, I like to go about 5 minutes in any conversation that I have and mention that I won last year's bracket. It's like people who win their bracket and people who run marathons, they have to work that in. You're the guy that
brings up the past. Okay.
It's like, do you run? That's the whole, like, Joe, if you're winning your bracket, you will bring it up in the first 5 minutes of talking with somebody this time of year.
That's what I did.
Guys.
You've got to ride for a while.
You got it. Listen, because I will tell you, in our industry, we don't win.
No.
I mean, 100%.
We think we know everything, and it's just not like that.
No, and the people, and look, guys like Scotty G, who were we talking about? Oh, Tim Lacombe yesterday. This guy who coached teams in the NCAA tournament. Doesn't matter. He's like, my bracket's blown up. My grandson, who's 3 years old, is beating me.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Throwing darts blindly is better.
It doesn't matter. My wife wins every year. Our family won.
Oh man,
she does. She will win it, and she'll be like, I'll be like, why? She'll be like, I just thought the Seton Hall Pirates looked cute.
I just like the colors.
And she'll go, but she'll pretend like she's breaking it down too. She'll go, all right. She'll have like an accountant's pencil, like, in her hand, and be like, all right, let me see here.
When ultimately,
how'd they do in conference play? You're like, get out of here.
You don't care.
Just guess, because you're going to beat me anyway. And our kids, so she did a thing where she goes, I'll give you, if we have a family bracket, and if you win it, you get $50. She threw down $50. Hey, and I was like, you can't do that. She goes, listen, this is a play for us,
you
man.
can't do that.
I go, you get $50 for a 9-year-old? They don't need that. And she goes, no, this is a great play, because we have 1 million kids, right? So our bracket is as big as most groups on ESPN at this point, all right? And she's like, look, it's great because we'll go through. If the baby wins, we get the $50.
Right.
If even the 3-year-old wins, we get the $50.
Anyway.
Right, and go, I'll take care of that. You don't want to
buy that.
She won't know what that is. The only ones who will really care about it are the teenagers and the people who are kind of approaching that age. And she's like, if you or I win, we get the $50. If the baby or the 3-year-old win, we got a good shot to get that $50 ourselves, okay?
So that's 4. That's good odds.
It is.
She's smart.
It is. No, I know. That's why she's the one that's in charge of finances in the house. All right?
But logic goes out the window when you're choosing your bracket.
No. You can't do it. But, and yet, when we do win the bracket, we brag like, oh, yeah, I knew what was going on. So now my bit that I'm telling people is I'm not winning the bracket, but all my Elite Eight are still alive. That's your move that you do then. It's like a quasi brag. It's not real. All right, Christian, let's hit it, man. Let's get to the cut and let's jump into the program here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The cut this hour brought to you by Trajan Wealth, local trusted financial fiduciaries. All you have to do is go to their website, trajanwealth.com. That's trajanwealth.com. To be able to plan out your retirement, do it with style. If you don't know what a fiduciary is, that's the person you want to have actually looking after your finances. So there you go. Sly, as we get kicked off here. Oh, kicked off? That was part of our conversation we had pre-show about the new NFL rules with the kickoff.
We talked for an hour.
Which, again, by the way, you're a guy who played. You're a guy who was on kickoff teams.
Man.
Asked to go down. This is how you got jobs in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have thought, and even you don't know how this is supposed to work. And we're all looking at this going, what are the real rules now, man? How are we supposed to do this? How are we supposed to be excited about the NFL right at this point?
It really is because, for me, kickoff starts back with the 96 Super Bowl with the Packers and the Patriots. And there was back-to-back kickoff returns for touchdowns. Right. I'm just like, special teams is a big part of the game.
Not anymore.
And then you get Devin Hester to start the Super Bowl off with I'm like, special teams is huge.
Oh, yeah.
And then I play, in the Super Bowl with special teams going down. I'm just like, this is a big part of the game, and I love it. It's absolutely awesome. And then every single year these past couple of decades, I feel like they're taking more rules off.
It's gotten even more weird.
You can't have you can't have a running start anymore. You got to start 5 yards behind the kickoff. And now they're implementing this XFL kickoff rule. I look at it and I'm like, this is a practice drill. We've done this in practice. And I was like, this is exactly how it's going to go.
It's crazy.
Going from transition from a touchdown to that is going to be the huge. It's going to be absolutely terrible.
Well, here's the good news.
As far as viewership
Here's
goes.
the good news. It might be a commercial break that I can totally skip.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be good.
Extra
we'll talk
long
about that.
Commercial.
We'll get into that more. We've got tons to jump into here. So let's start off with anytime there are new renderings, I don't know if you've listened to this program, but if there's a new rendering about a stadium or about a professional team that could be rolling up here in Salt Lake at some point, we are all about it. And we compare our renderings to somebody else. Salt Lake and the city planners have unveiled the ballpark southwest corner, what that could look like for what would be, I don't know, like in my mind, I get it. Having a redesign of the ballpark neighborhood, you gotta make that place, sparkle. But the one that everybody's really wondering about, Sly, is whether or not an MLB team could come here to Salt Lake City, and how soon that could be, and how much we'd be able to, kind of hang if we could be that in that conversation. And I think we've told ourselves that it's going to happen. And so anything that's in the contrary, or even if we start to get in our head timing, that might be a problem. Bob Nightingale, USA Today, he's come on our show a bunch of times. When was on with Hans and Scotty, talking about Major League expansion. Mm-hmm. Here's what he had to say about it, because I think that we were expecting maybe before Rob Manfred got out as the commissioner that maybe in 26 or 27 we'd hear an announcement, and then by 28 there would be that expansion team, and we feel like we're that city. We feel like we're ready. It might be something that is even further away, which is not good news for us. But again, in the grand scheme of things, I think Salt Lake is still in that conversation. Here's what he had to say about whether or not he's heard anything about Major League expansion and whether or not that could happen anytime soon.
Well, I think, talking to MLB people, it's going to, I think right now Salt Lake has got to be a favorite, with the Nashville. But, we're still talking probably the first game wouldn't be before, say, 2030. You can put a minor league team in place, maybe 2028, 2029. But no, Salt Lake's sitting pretty in the sense where, they got the financial backing. Sounds like they'll get a stadium and everything else. So I would think right now that, easily the two favorites are Nashville, and I think Salt Lake's now the runner-up favorite.
That's still good news, because if you expand, Sly, you need two teams, right? And the idea would be Nashville playing out east. Whatever the expansion team would be here in Salt Lake would be that team in the West. And that still doesn't change narrative-wise. Look, I have a hard time, because like when we're talking with Locke, or we have Thurl Bailey on, we chat with him about, we're talking to Utah Jazz with anybody, we go, hey, when's this team going to get good? They go, oh, the pieces are in place for them to build a great championship. I'd say championship teams, 20, possible 26, 27. And you're like, dude, it's 24. Like, it's 24. I don't want to wait. Oh, they're going to have something. They're going to have something built. You watch. By 2027, Utah's going to be competing. That's hard to hear. The Olympics coming in 2034, that's a little bit like, that's 10 years from now, right. Sly. That's 10 freaking years. And if a Major League Baseball expansion happens, we're talking 6 years away.
Right.
But they're breaking ground on a site out there out west, and so then you go, okay, we're getting a little too ahead of ourselves here. I guess, but it still makes me excited, but it still bums me out that we have to wait so dang long.
For me, I hate the sound of it's always right around the corner.
Right?
So like, when are we not going to be right around the corner? And for Jazz fans, it's always been that. We're there. We're right there. We got the championship team. Well, why the heck have we not gotten to the finals at least? And so,
that's the question. Are we going to see an NHL? Are we going to see a Stanley Cup raised before?
Hey.
A possible
Vegas
champion.
Knights, the way the Vegas Knights came in the NHL, expansion teams make it happen.
It's crazy. That is bonkers. So he says, yeah, man, Salt Lake's right there. Expect maybe 2030. And we're all going, hey, wait. I thought we said 27, 28, man.
It's always.
Yeah, but like, what's a couple more years?
Pushing the goalpost.
I'm like, dude, look, I will look. You know what that'll mean? By the time a team comes here to Salt Lake, I will have been in this daggum building for 25 years. Like, I don't want to wait till my 25th year in the industry when they're already kind of going, you're on the downhill slope. We just got an Major League Baseball team. We just got an NHL team. Yeah, I know. You're kind of getting old, huh? And you're like, no. You think about retirement? Wait, what? Because Sly, what are you, just graduating? Like, they'll say that in 2035, dude.
I'll be here for it.
So that's what I get freaking pissed, man. I know we're supposed to be excited when Bob Nightingale says, hey, man, 2030, Salt Lake's right there. I think and by the way, here's the other thing we hate to hear. Runner-up. Yeah, Salt Lake's the runner-up of an expansion city. Rip my heart out, man. Yeah, Nashville's way cooler than you guys, but you're right there, When somebody's voice goes up a little bit higher, no, you're good.
The salesman.
I think that's really good. No, you're doing really good. That's what you say. Go to the doctor and go, how's it look? No, your chart looks okay.
Totally good.
Looks okay. Can we set you up for a heart evaluation, though, just with a second opinion?
If everything's all good,
no.
you need that?
It's like, why'd your voice just get way higher? No, you might get a team by 2030. He's like, dude, you're belying yourself there. Here's what he had to say. Bob Nightingale again from USA Today talking about the A's in Las Vegas. We already kind of told ourselves that possibility of the A's coming here temporarily,
right?
That's probably gone. But here's what he said about the A's in Las Vegas, because I will tell you right now, it is kind of funny to watch how much of a mess it is. Both cities are problematic right now with this team. Here's what he said.
Well, everything still seems to be in place there. I know that what the Oakland mayor said, and or what she's saying, and even Las Vegas mayor for that matter. But yeah, they're all set to go. Vegas in 2028. They got construction site. They're turning on the Tropicana Hotel. Where it'll be built, and then go from there. The question is where they're going to play the next 3 years. I think they'll end up playing the Oakland Coliseum, but they don't. They probably go up the road to Sacramento. I don't see them coming to Salt Lake. I just think they want to stay in that area. So I think it'd be hard too for Salt Lake to get real behind it because it's not their team. They're waiting for the expansion team. It's not like they start rooting for someone's rejects.
I do love the idea that the A's are quote unquote someone's rejects.
They're somebody's. They belong to somebody.
That's like, oh yeah, listen, their mom. These guys, their moms love them still. Come on, why would you call me that? So it is tough to hear though that we were basically used as leverage. Like Salt Lake's standing by right now to get a team there. They'll do whatever they can just for even temporarily to have a Major League Baseball team hang out there. So that is a bummer. Oh, I just found out one of my kids' baseball teams, by the way, they got assigned as the A's. And I was like, one, as a Mariners fan, I don't like anybody else in the AL West, but fine. But you're essentially sending, like you said, somebody else's rejects. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That's what my kid's going to be playing on the A's this year, getting made fun of.
Guy's got the scarlet letter.
Right. You got to run it's literally, it's yellow, but it is the same letter. So the A's are going to be playing likely in the Coliseum for an extended period of time, or Sacramento before that Vegas move because the money is too much. The money is the TV money. They can't walk away from it. They have that deal with their with the Bay Area affiliate of whomever sports, fill in the blank sports, who carries the A's, and that's a significant chunk of money for the A's every year. And so they're not going to walk away from that. At some point, we got to look at that and go, darn it. But as he put it, no. Expansion isn't affected by this. Expansion doesn't get kiboshed at all for Salt Lake just because the A's decided that they're going to stay at the Coliseum for a couple of years while their stadium gets built in Las Vegas. By the way, both mayors not doing their cities any favors.
No.
Oakland being like, the A's are garbage, get out of here.
Yeah.
Vegas is like, I don't know if we want them. And you're going, what is this political game?
Salt Lake's like, we want it. Give it to us.
Yeah. And we found out later that the Vegas mayor's whole move was to be like, well, it's because we would have made a nice chunk of money to sell them the land where we wanted to sell them a certain piece of land that the city owned that would have made money off of big time. And they don't like the idea of some developer right off the strip, them being the ones that make all the money. So they got all sour about it, but it's fine. All right. What we do know is that Vegas has become a good host of pro cities now. I mean, a pro city for all these pro sports. People want to be there now.
That in-season tournament for NBA was great, and that was a kind of testing ground for the NBA as well. I don't want to. I'm not that guy. Hey, here's my thing: if LeBron wants it, LeBron's going to.
He's going to get it.
He's said it multiple times.
They might be the Vegas LeBrons. Like that might be the name of the team.
The Brons.
The Bronnies. And you'll have to have a Bronny at some point on
At some point.
You have to. Okay. Well, there you go. There's the update on Major League Baseball expansion. It's going to happen? Question mark?
Yeah, higher voice.
But again, but I got to tell my kids, hey, that's going to be awesome. When you're 29, when you're Sly's age, you're going to be getting.
You'll have a team.
You're going to get a team here, man.
Yeah.
I have told my kids, I mark it on the calendar. You got to work with a company that's doing something with the Olympics. Mm-hmm. The amount of money that rolls in. You can get you become like a part-time transportation guy between hotels for a company.
Anything.
You're going to get like $80 an hour because the Olympic money just starts flowing, man. Well, and by then with inflation, it's probably going to be $1,000 an hour. Jeez. There you go. All right. Let's jump out here. Hey, we got a guest in studio. And we haven't been able to chat with Adam for a minute, or at least I wasn't here last time that Adam was here from 5 Star Painting. Adam, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be back.
'Tis the season.
It's time.
That sun starts to come out. Temperatures start to go up above 50. And then we're starting to get. We had a really nice warm spell last week, and that of course means people are starting to look at the exterior of their home or the interior or whatever it is that maybe that building, maybe that shed outside their house or whatever it is, and they're starting to call 5 Star Painting. Why call you guys before the other guys?
Well, minus the awesome deal I'm going to give them today. Because I got that too. But we are locally owned. We're locally operated. All our painters are local, and we have estimators and managers that are in each area. So up north in Salt Lake, down in Utah County, and we actually personally manage every job from start to finish. We do walkthroughs with the customers. We don't collect final payments until everything's signed off. We're really more customer focus oriented, and we want to make sure the job's done right first.
Well, so you talked about a good deal, talked about getting a good deal, talked about now being a good time to take advantage. Because anytime that we do start kind of ramping up the season, Adam goes, I got to get something for my listeners here on the Zone Sports Network here. So what do we have that makes you guys a little bit different from the money aspect? Because my neighbors actually last year had you guys come and paint their house, and I go, hey, who are you having doing your house? They go, 5 Star Painting. I went, good. I don't have to give them the pitch. Now. They already did. So, but part of it is because there's always you get all sorts of freebies. You get money off. What do you have for the folks today who are listening who might want to get that paint on their house on the inside or outside done?
Yeah, so normally for everyone listening, we do free paint. So we give everyone free paint that calls and mentions, hey, I heard you on the radio. And that's anytime. You call a week from now and you say, hey, I heard you last week on the radio. We're going to hook you up with free paint. And all the estimates are always free. We have free color consultations through Sherwin-Williams. That stuff's kind of our standard go-to, here's what we're offering you. But today, in studio, while I'm here, so anytime today, if you call, I'm going to add an extra 15% off of any estimate that you get. And so all you got to do is call and schedule the estimate today. You can schedule it for 2 weeks, a month. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Just call today and schedule it, and then you get an extra 15% off.
Okay. That's on top of on top of the free paint.
Yep. You get you get all the freebies no matter what.
Okay. By the way, the free paint is not, this is the Sherwin-Williams good stuff. This is not like, we're not rolling up and getting some light grade paint on there because you go, well, we have some extra paint from this other job. This is not what we're talking about here.
No. Everything, I mean, we can use whatever, but the free paint is Sherwin-Williams. So everything that we do with our free paint promotions is all Sherwin-Williams paint. And it's not like you think, oh, well, they're probably going to use the cheap paint from Sherwin-Williams. That's not true either. We do everything on a cashmere level, so if you know your paints, you know that that's a good, high-quality paint from Sherwin-Williams, and that's what we're offering with the free paint.
Cashmere level. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that cashmere was a type of paint.
What are some projects right now? Because the deal's awesome, right? But, what are some projects that people normally do during spring now that's starting getting warmer that people could get an idea? Because sometimes I'm like, do I need paint? Do I need paint? But it's sometimes I do need to paint that wall. What are some projects like garages? I think people need to start doing garages. I did mine. It was awesome.
So this time of year, obviously now as it starts to warm up, everyone starts to kind of get outside. So then you're looking at your house. Hey, maybe winter, the weather, you get a lot of painting, peeling, chipping, around your window trim and all that kind of stuff. So the exteriors of homes, definitely one they got to do. Something that you might not think about, but you got all your garden boxes and stuff that are kind of old and ragged. We'll come out and paint those, get those sealed up.
You guys do everything. Okay.
Yeah, wrought iron fences, your fences, your decks, all the stuff out in the weather. We're going to come, we'll get it all prepped up, primered, painted, whatever it needs to do to make it last, years down the road so you're not replacing your fencing and all that other kind of stuff.
Okay. Tell me how to get a hold of you guys. The website's fine. You can find 5 Star Painting online, but I do want to make sure that we give that phone number out today. So what number are they calling today, Adam?
Yeah, so the number is 801-208-2649.
801-208-2649. Is that right?
That's it.
Okay, 801-208-2649. You get a hold of the folks at 5 Star Painting. Adam and his crew want to come out and make sure and get the estimate. Look, just like have them look at it. That's the other thing is
free estimate.
There's no obligation. Go out there and go, okay, will this work for me? Get Adam and their folks out there to give you an estimate, and they're going to beat everybody else, and it's going to be quality too. So 801-208-2649, 801-208-2649, 5 Star Painting. Adam, we'll chat with you in a few minutes here, man. Thanks for hanging out. We got more to go around the corner. When we come back, we've got conversation about, well, and it's a tough conversation, Sly. It's one we have to have with BYU fans about what year 2 in the Big 12 could look like. It might also be a very positive conversation. We'll talk about how they can get to that promised land they want to get to, which is bowl season at the very least. So stay with us, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jazz Spurs tonight at home. Hey, you know what that means? Jazz are favored, Sly.
Worst team in the league? No way. Come on.
One of, if not the worst. And that's what's crazy. Okay, look, dial back your expectations, okay, for your team when you get the most talked about draft prospect in the history of my lifetime of the draft, maybe since LeBron.
I was about to say, was he talked about more than LeBron?
I don't know. It may be. Maybe it's just because of recency bias. But when LeBron came out.
Well, I mean, was media what it was back in the day?
Yeah, in 03. Yeah. Geez, Sly, that was 21 years ago.
Yeah. I know. You were talking about you've been in the building.
A long time.
Yeah, right?
Did I mention that I won the bracket last year? It was like, how do you know somebody runs marathons? They let you know within the first 4 minutes of same thing with the bracket. How do you know somebody won their bracket? They'll let you know within the first 3.5 minutes of chatting with them. But yes, Jazz favored tonight against your San Antonio Spurs with Victor Wembanyama. Big Vic has been fun. He's been as advertised. He hasn't been as flashy sometimes, but I'll tell you, he made like that. It wasn't even from the logo. It was like beyond the logo the other night. And he pulled up to shoot it. It wasn't like at the buzzer or something. He just pulled up.
Like, I feel it.
You know what? This 43.5 footer is probably good.
I mean, I'm 7'6", so this 43 is actually a 32.
Remember right before the draft too? Christian probably remember this. He grew like 2.5 inches.
Yeah.
They're all, he's eating his Wheaties. He's doing well. I want him measured at the end of this year. I want him measured at the end of this year.
I mean, just watching him. I mean, I love his bowl competitions when they go against each other. I love when he goes against Giannis.
It's like
just seeing two giants.
The battle of Slendermen. Like, we put those guys. Wasn't he Slenderman for like Halloween too?
I don't know.
I think he dressed up.
He did.
Yeah,
he dressed up as Slenderman.
Yeah.
And which is like, this whatever.
An urban legend.
Yes. Like if you find some drunk kids in Wisconsin, they'll swear that the Slender Man walks through their neighborhood. All right, but the Jazz tonight taking on the Spurs, and they are favored in this one. Whether or not they actually pull it off, two teams battling to not win a game tonight. That's always fun. Let's talk about year 2 for BYU in the Big 12. Sly.
All right.
We watched Utah do this. Now they had a really good. I think it was their first year. It was pretty darn good in the Pac-12. I can't remember.
Yeah, I know.
Like they overperformed
because USC had got suspended.
Yes,
and so Utah had the opportunity to win the South.
Right.
They didn't. They choked in the last game against Colorado.
But even at like 5-4 in conference,
they still had a good year.
Yes.
That very first.
I think
year.
They won 8 games that first season,
and then the next year was like, whoa.
In the next 2 years, they won 5 games apiece in overall. So not bowl eligible for those 2 years. I will remind people that success in these big conferences does not come easily.
No.
And you cannot equate. I've heard way too many people tell me this. Yeah, but the basketball team, they did it. They showed up in the hardest basketball conference. They rolled up and they exceeded expectations. So BYU should do it next year. That's not a good comparison.
No, it's not.
It's not apples to apples. And then on top of it, how do you get good, so to speak, in a big conference when you go from, in BYU's case, Independence, a 2-7 season last year in their first year in the conference, to possibly being bowl eligible? And I think that's the first step. You just got to get bowl eligible. You were 5-7 last year, but they started 4-1, right? So 5-7 last year, but they go 2-7 in conference. How do they get more to that 500 in conference play? Because even their out of conference schedule is going to be a lot more difficult than it was last year. So how should fans kind of anticipate year 2 of a Power 5 conference, or a Power 4, I guess now?
I mean, every year you got to look to get better, right? And we talked about experience being the best teacher yesterday, and I think that's the truth with BYU. You can't expect them to, just literally jump the bowl and get to 10 wins this season. I just don't think that that's possible. It's good thought. If you want that to happen, it's great for that. But ultimately, I mean, looking at this past season, of course, starting 3-0, 4-1, you just understand they didn't have a 100-yard rusher until they played Oklahoma. And so they got to get that rushing game going. There's got to be some consistency, some kind of foundation within that offense. They got to have some good offensive line in this conference. This has been a traditional conference to where the running game is paramount. And no matter how much the passing game evolves, I do think you got to threaten somebody in the running game. I think that's why Utah's had success. In the past 10 years, they finally, it was just like, we got to make sure that the running game is stout. And I think that's what BYU needs to do. And this year coming in, they got a out-of-conference schedule that's a little bit more difficult than the previous year with Southern Illinois and SMU to start. SMU is definitely retooled.
They won 11 games last year.
Yeah, they've retooled, and they're
now they're an ACC team now. Okay,
yes.
Settle down.
But still, in general, I mean, you're at SMU. It's early in the season. Anything can happen. And honestly, from this type of schedule, you want to pull off as many wins as you can at the beginning of the season. So you got Southern Illinois, SMU, and Wyoming. Those are 3 games to start the season, the first quarter of the season that you can start off with. And so for me, I just think that Kalani and A-Rod and Jay Hill and all of them can't get so worked up about like, oh man, we gotta like make that 10-win season right now. But you got to build that culture. You got to build that culture, build those guys coming in, build a foundation of standard that anybody who come in understands, from the running game to how you attack the game and prepare. I think that's more important to your future than just being like, oh, we got to bring these guys in one at a time every year and just expect to win.
Here's what Fesi Satake, BYU's wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator, had to say about the progress so far through spring ball in their last week here.
Really good. We had a string of probably 8-9 practices in a row where progressively we just got better every single week, and then kind of hit a little lull and maybe 1 or 2 practices where you're not on the trajectory you were on, but you regroup and you bounce back, and the guys have shown maturity, and we've gotten a lot better, I feel, over the course of spring. A lot of new guys, a lot of competition. We're trying to see guys have executed, made plays, and so overall, there's been a lot of good plays made, and I think we're on the right track.
Fessi's always really a great interview. And by the way, he's a phenomenal recruiter. He's one of the reasons that you'll get guys. I mean, he was crucial in bringing Zach Wilson in, and he's good. I'm glad guys like Fesi are still around, because that's a huge piece of that team. And we'll get to, on our spring football update next, we'll listen a little bit to what he said about the wide receiver room. I just wanted people to hear that kind of overall what spring ball was kind of sounding like. But spring ball, we don't. A team's not made or broken in spring, right?
No, not at all.
Now the coaches will tell you that. Like they'll do the whole like, this is where it's made, man. This is where we put. Hey, when we say the hay's in the barn, that's what we're doing right now. We're putting the hay in the barn, and like that is the coach. That's the coach speaking. Those guys.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Now, I mean, there's good foundation, good experience, good repetition that can be learned at that point, and I think that's what the coaches want to see. They want to see you get those reps, take advantage of those, because I've talked to these coaches, and they're like, look, besides coaching, I want to get in as many reps as possible. If you watch Utah's practice this past weekend, they were just repping it out. There was very minimal coaching in between plays because they were trying to get more and more plays in on film that they can coach in the meeting rooms.
Let's take that break. We'll come back. We have a BYU spring ball update, and we'll throw that out there, and we'll get you some of that sound from Fessy and also from one of the young linebackers, Isaiah Glasker, as well. So stay with us. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
This is your Cougar Spring Football Update on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Really, it's just the competition. I feel like the competition is really stiff right now. So come season time, like I feel like we're going to be like super good just because we got a great offense that's pushing us to be the best, hopefully the best defense in not even only the Big 12, but nationally. So I'm excited for what's to come.
You probably didn't recognize that young man's voice. Isaiah Glasker, one of the young linebackers for BYU, somebody who's going to be asked to do a lot more this year in his second season with the Cougs. Isaiah Glasker playing linebacker for BYU. It's always good to see what guys are going to show up, Sly. Like, who's going to be the person? And usually they'll go, we have this guy who we are really excited about, and you don't know about him.
Right.
And that happens.
All the time.
And at Utah, you got the big names that come in, right? And then you have guys, you tell me, because Cole Bishop felt a little bit like this. When he first came in, you're like, some dude out of Georgia, kind of a high-ish recruit-ish, three-star guy, but why'd he pick Utah? And then it's like, oh my gosh, Cole Bishop changes the world there.
Right.
You're kind of one of these guys, right? At the very beginning of your career, they're like, oh, he's going to be pretty good. Oh, he's getting really good. Boom, is in the NFL. Like, there are guys that make names for themselves, obviously prior to spring.
Right.
But, guys like Isaiah Glasker, you're going to hear their name a lot more. You hope, BYU hopes that you do.
Yeah, I mean, when you go and you just hear all these names that the coaches are talking about, which is all the media names, right? The names that carry that's going to be up for the awards and stuff, but there's always going to be a sneaky guy who comes through, and that's who I want to know. I want to know who's going to be that guy that's going to contribute on a huge level that you just didn't expect. And so, Isaiah Glasker could be, 6'5", 230 pounds. The guy can run like crazy. And so, having that size, that speed at the linebacker position can play dividends, especially being in those passing lanes, covering a lot of ground. So Isaiah Glasker could be a huge part of this defense.
6'5", 230 is... You don't see a lot of 6'5" linebackers these days.
You do
not. Bingham kid, though. This is a guy, obviously, you come out of a program like Bingham, people are going to kind of perk up and go, oh, yeah. You've covered some Bingham high school football games in your day.
I have.
It's funny how you watch teams go through these eras, right? Just like these long periods of oh, yeah, they're dominant. Then moving on, another dominant team.
Yeah.
Think about how long ago it was. Didn't seem like it was that long ago. And Eric Kerr, of course, is associated with it, but Jordan, right? Mm-hmm. Jordan was having all those years, your Austin Confessus type years, and where they're winning they're winning high school championships, state championships, and then boom, move somewhere else. It doesn't last that long. So there you go. There's Isaiah Glasker. Now let's get back to I did want to bring up what Fessy said about the wide receivers group. So before we get to Adam from 5 Star Painting, let's listen to what Fessy had to say about that wide receiver group that, of course, he's in charge of.
It allows me to really focus on the nuances of our playbook. Like last year, even though they were experienced players and transfers in terms of Darius and Keelan, our playbook was still new. And so now that they know it and that's kind of already crystallized, we can focus on very specific things of the playbook. We can get a lot more deliberate on the playbook as opposed to just crossing your fingers and saying, oh, I hope you know the play. So I can feel that. These guys have taken a huge jump. They know the playbook really well. I can line any of up anywhere, and I'm confident they'll know what to do.
There you go. Fessy Sataki. That's part of our BYU spring football update that we bring to you every day at 3:50. Nominate your youth sports volunteer that you want to make the Hercules Hero of the Week. What you do is you submit your nomination to KSLSports.com/contest. You nominate that person who might be the team mom, that neighbor who always signs up to be that assistant coach to help out because he loves baseball so much, or she loves coaching basketball so much. Whoever it might be, somebody who is unsung for their efforts they do with the youth in their neighborhood. We will every Thursday read those winners and those nominations, and they get a prize courtesy of the folks at Hercules Credit Union, part of the Hercules Hero of the Week. Let's jump out here to Adam from 5 Star Painting. Adam, I was just telling Sly that there is always a little bit of something here and there that might add to the value of your home that you might not necessarily know about. So I always love talking about the black door. Just hey, listen, you got a beige or a white door, you paint that thing black, your house suddenly just goes up in value.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I actually every time I come in, I know I gotta
have something funny like that. Come on,
be prepared.
Let's go.
And so I actually pulled up an updated one where now
it's green.
Well, the front door is still legit. So that one is a dark gray or black front doors. Zillow says that it increases the value of your home by $6,000.
$6,000, Sly.
$6,000
just for painting the door.
Just
what
for
if
the
I
door.
put multiple coats of black paint on it? Does that go up by like $25,000, $24,000 if I do it?
It's a nice sheen.
I don't think that's how that works.
Give me that Sherman-Williams cashmere. It's going to go up $10,000. Let's go.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because that most doors, if it's a traditional front door, it's going to cost you $300, $400, and it adds a ton of value. And so that one was a couple of years ago that I pulled a lot of those things from. So they actually just had a new one, and they said on an average of when you're reselling your home, a new paint job, depending on what it is going to increase around $2,500 and go on from there. And so they had, and they're saying charcoal gray in your rooms, doing accent walls in charcoal gray. That's the color that is
sounds like my
now.
home right now.
Yeah,
like I have my accent walls. It's
all right,
good. You should see my office.
If you
and
if you aren't as cool as Sly, then don't paint your what?
Don't paint your house yellow.
Okay, there you go.
No yellows, amarillos. No.
What if I go full yellow on the house? Go with the black door.
Ooh,
come on.
There you go. That's black and yellow, baby. I'm all Steelers colors right there.
Then it like negates. It just says your house is still. It's just we're at the zero.
If your house is next to the Salt Lake Bees, that
then it might work. It might work.
Right.
You can do it. Just don't plan on selling it.
Oh,
okay,
right.
Perfect. Okay. When Adam comes in from 5 Star Painting, the deals flow, and so this is that time of year you want to get your crews busy. You want to get people on the docket, but really it's about making that appointment, getting them in, and then getting that free estimate, and then going from there. But if they do that, if they get on the books, they can get a lot of money off today.
Yeah, if you call in and there's no obligation. All you're doing is having us come out. You're scheduling an estimate. That's free. We come out, spend 30, 40 minutes with you, and you're going to get a price by the next day at the latest. And you can decide if it fits for you and it's something you want to do, great. If not, no harm, no foul. But by doing so and calling today and scheduling it, I'm going to add an extra 15% off of the quote, including all the free paint, the free color consultation, all the other stuff that you're going to get anyways. I'm going to add 15%.
Man, that is awesome. I mean, there's so many projects. Yeah, it is, right? There's so many projects that you could do that you need to get over. Like, we painted our garage, and I'm telling you, it made the biggest difference. So we could get in and paint the garage. Everybody needs a black door now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many projects that you can do, that you should do, from fencing to, we just talked about garden boxes, right? There's so many projects around the house that you're looking at. At the very least you could do is get an estimate, plus you get 15% off.
Look at that.
Yeah, can't hurt. What's it going to hurt?
It's not. Let me give you the phone number. Get on the books and just get that free estimate and put it up against anybody else. And that free paint, that free Sherman-Williams paint with the job, that's part of the deal. That's what 5 Star Painting does now. At this point, you can't not have the free paint, I feel like, because that's what the listeners expect. So 801-208-2649. That's 801-208-2649. Get a hold of Adam and his crew, and they'll come out and they'll get it done. 801-208-2649. Adam, thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate it. David Locke coming up next, voice of Utah Jazz. Jazz Spurs tonight. In less than 2 hours here, you're going to get your pregame started up and then tip at 7. Stay here, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
It's time to get the inside scoop on the Utah Jazz. From the play-by-play voice of the Jazz, David Locke.
Sweet revenge!
Presented by Murdoch Auto Group.
Ow!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen out this week. Enter Stevenson Sylvester. Sly here with us, former NFLer, former Utah linebacker, and also famous in the hallways here because they're like, you're that guy.
I'm just not going to go out there anymore.
You're that guy.
Why I won't be.
I know. He ends up being late to the We got to keep this guy in the studio. I can't have you signing autographs in the hallway. Come on. Here's what we have. We got tons to get to. Our program is always brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the perfect protein bar for you. Local company as well. Find them at Costco, Holiday Oil, and Maverick. And, of course, David Locke's appearances courtesy of the Murdoch Auto Group. David Locke, voice of Utah Jazz, joining us on the program. What's up, Locke? How you doing, man?
All right, wait a second. I remember a young, bright, energetic, thoughtful, young University of Utah linebacker, probably around 2006.
Jeez.
Maybe 7. Might have been a freshman, maybe a sophomore then, I'm thinking.
Do we need to say the year?
I covered when I was in Utah as a talk show host who weirdly had the exact same name of this Stevenson Sylvester guy you have on the radio right now. And
It's a common name.
I have not talked to this Stevenson Sylvester, who at least in my memory, I talked to an awful lot when he was a young kid. And in probably, let's see, I left in July of 2000 and no wait, I left in July of, or I came back in September of 2008. So maybe it was just his senior year.
That was the beginning. Junior year. That's right. There you go. Yeah. Same guy.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Just when I came back, I guess. Is that right?
No, you brought the look with you that year for sure.
That's how they
you
won.
You probably don't even remember me. Wait, is that right? So let me think. I left in '98, came back in '08. So then is that when I covered you? Yeah, that year I was doing talk radio and not play-by-play yet.
Yeah. That was same guy. Slides is still the same guy and still bright, which is why we're glad that he comes on the program.
bright. I'm just like, oh, hey, I perked up a little bit. That's
exactly
a good compliment.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Well, there aren't that many guys that, frankly, you cover that when they're 18 and 19 years old, you walk away and think, wow, I want to talk to again.
Yeah, right.
Sly made the mistake that a lot of these guys do that are like really good at being thoughtful and really good at interviewing, and then they have that first interview, and then everybody goes, "Hey, can we get Stevenson Sylvester? Like you had him last week."
I just want to ask what he ate today. That's all.
We just because the
opposite.
I
want to ask you a question. I have no idea the answer to this. So you were, and you still are, obviously well-spoken, thoughtful, intellectual. Do you think it helped you or hurt you in the draft process?
Ooh,
which
like like that the GM sat down with you and you being thoughtful, bright, and charismatic in those interviews. If it hurt you or helped you in the draft process,
that is a great question because I've said this many times. I didn't get talked to.
Oh wow.
I swear, I didn't get talked to the whole time. I thought there was something wrong with me. I'm like, oh, this draft's going to suck. Nobody talked to me. And so I would say, yeah, but if I talked to somebody, I could give you that feedback. But nobody talked. It was the weirdest feeling.
Not until Mike Tomlin called you up and goes, we want to take you in the 5th round.
On draft day, until I got my call, I didn't even think. I filled out one of those cue cards, when you go to the mall. That's what I filled out for the Steelers. That's the only thing I filled out for the Steelers.
Wow.
And that was at my All-Star game. But no GM at All-Star Weekend, Combine, Pro Day. I didn't talk to any scout. I didn't talk to nobody from any team. I'm just like,
so maybe it worked out. Maybe they were like, we don't want to talk to you. We don't want to talk to you. We've already seen the interviews.
Right. But that's why I'm just like, this draft process is it's a game.
That's phenomenal.
It's a game. But yeah, I didn't talk to anybody, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm so stunned how, I have a bunch of things that really stun me about player acquisition, particularly out of the draft in both basketball and the NFL, and even the WNBA from the access I've had to it. This matches what stuns me. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to sound like I'm being critical or I know better because these guys are busting their butt. But it's fascinating to me that this is not that uncommon story.
It goes along the lines too, Locke, of the ones that you hear. I hear more of them in the NBA or in the NFL than I do in the NBA. But you could maybe tell me this is the same thing too, where you have 4 teams that like are knocking on those doors and making phone calls like crazy. They're calling you up and they're going, dude, we want to take you, we want to take you, we want to take you, and then they get taken by a team that has never talked to them, and they go, yeah, we'd love to have you, and you go, and those other 4 teams, by the way, passed on them right before, and you go, I thought, what's going on here?
Right.
What were the games they were playing? Right. Is it a little bit more along those lines, too, in the NBA, Locke, too? You hear those stories?
No, because there aren't – well, maybe, but, there are only 2 rounds, right?
Right,
so
it's a lot fewer. Yeah.
The one thing that has always stunned me in the NBA is – and this isn't maybe as common, teams are getting better and better at this, right? There used to be some organizations that really weren't run well, and I've been in the league for a long time, so I have to remember sometimes that things have evolved. It's hard to remember that it's been 30 years since I first started digging into this, so it's like if I'm about to pull out a memory from like 22 years ago, it might not be relevant anymore. But there are more what I would call panic decisions around drafting where, Jerry West likes him. I think we got to go take him. Like there was a guard that got super hot one year, and I think it was largely because like word was that Jerry West liked him, and then somebody drafted him, and like the player's like, oh, they never worked me out, and you're like, they've never talked to me. You're like, oh, they just panicked that they didn't actually do their research. Like,
right.
So there's stuff like that. I have another story. I apologize. I'm not trying to be.
No, love it. This is all good insider stuff, dude.
Not saying the names. The story's still good, I think.
Yeah, sure.
But like, I know an organization where they were looking position specific. So they had their coaches run through all of the players at that position, and the coach whose job it was came back and said none of them are NBA starters at this position. And of the 7 players that coach looked at, he actually was probably right on 6 of the 7. Like one of them became a starter, maybe a hybrid position. So it wasn't truly what they were asking for, if that makes sense. So this coach was on it. So the team at that point did the research, did the work, and it decided, like, okay, well, we're going to do something else in the draft. The player they wanted to get, then another team jumped ahead of them and traded and got that player that they wanted. And then they turned around and, like, panicked and took a player at the position that they had just decided they weren't taking.
Right.
Because the player they originally wanted wasn't. And then they got that player, and then that player actually turned out to not be good because that coach was right. And it's like, whoa, what happened in that room that was the decision-making that went down? Because I can't really believe that was your second choice.
Completely changed everything. I think that's why you see a lot of trades on draft day. You see so many guys trade up because they don't want to be left in that position. And over the last few years, there's been setting records for how many trades go on draft day. But I think it happens more and more. It's such a chess match. And I took that from my draft process. It's like nobody talked to me. Maybe they were trying to make sure that other teams thought that they weren't interested or that they were or whatever. But I just kept slipping every round. So I'm just like, oh, I suck. But, I just, it's crazy the methodology that goes into the draft process and how that happens.
The amount of guys that I've heard where they're like, I got drafted by a team, didn't even talk to me.
Right.
Like, I don't even know why. All these other guys said that I was good. And, with 7 rounds, it's a lot different in the NFL. But, Locke, you've also, I mean there have been those times, too.
Another one. I got another one I'll tell. I got to figure out how I can tell this without revealing what it was. And it was like – I actually can't. There's no way I can tell that.
Let me rethink this.
It's such a great story. How can I tell this story?
No.
And it was like, and they blew it. Like, and like the quick crust of it is basically literally they told me before the draft that they were going to blow it, and they did. Like, it was crazy.
We're going to screw this up. You watch.
I just got a feeling. I just know I'm going to bomb this.
Oh, what a GM.
That's how I went into every test.
That's a great GM right there. Like, hey, I'll just, on the record, we're going to screw it up.
I mean, now, to their defense, I'm not sure there were a lot of players around that pick that actually became good, and so it was a little bit of them saying, like, everyone around here actually sucked.
And you got to be above the fray too. Like that's what's good about this organization too, is that I feel like Justin Zanuck, Danny Ainge are in the vein of we kind of know a lot more than the fan base. Like, and we're not being mean about it, but this is our job, right? Because there are organizations and owners sometimes, and even that GM who thinks he's a crack GM and he's not, who goes. Who gets a little bit swayed by the public, right? And it goes, we're supposed to take that guy, and if we don't, we're going to get killed over it.
Well, we've lost 17-20, and some of our fan base is upset right now. I really hope it's having no impact, right? Like, I love our fans, and I love their passion, and I love the fact they're upset. I really hope it's not impacting Danny Ainge, Justin Zanuck, and Ryan Smith at all.
No.
Right? Like that's the fine line. Like the one thing I think this is a side note, but I've been saying this to a lot of people off the air, so I guess I'll say it on the air. Like I feel really bad a little bit for Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge right now, okay? Because they can't really hold the press conference, the truthful press conference.
To show their hand, yeah.
So like what Justin Zanuck really would have probably, I don't know, I don't want to speak for him. So here, let's just say hypothetically. Hey, by the way, guys, we got a call from Detroit. Detroit wanted Simone Fontecchio. Detroit is 8-80. They don't want him for this year. They clearly want him for next year and the years after. They have $70 million of cap space. They're basically not quite, but basically blackmailing us saying, hey, if you don't trade him now, we're going to go give him a 4-year, $50 million offer sheet, and we're going to lose him. So we trade him for the first pick of the draft. And, oh, by the way, if you're wondering why Detroit would do this, because now Detroit's going to give him like a 4-year, $32 million deal, and Detroit just saved themselves $18 million by getting him now. And so their cost was this second-round draft pick to us, so we took advantage of that.
Right.
Like, that's really what the press conference should have been. And then, like, the Toronto trade would be like, hey, we love Kelly, but he's 32. He's going to want a 2 or 3 year deal. We have Taylor Hendricks. It doesn't really work for us to sign him again when we have Taylor Hendricks, John Collins, Walker Kessler. I don't know what he's going to pay. And, oh, by the way, we're not entirely sure on Ochai Agbaji right now. And someone's willing to give us a first-round pick, and we have Bryce Sensabaugh, who might be just as good, if not better. And Ochai's shooting is really concerning to us. And so we got to get if there's a minor chance that Ochai actually is going to be out of our rotation by next year, we got to trade him now, because if he's out of our rotation next year, he has no value. Like, you can't hold that press conference, but that's what these guys. And so, like, sometimes when guys like me are doing this first part where I'm telling these stories, kind of almost mocking these mistakes, maybe it's total bullcrap, because the fact is there might have been something else going on that they couldn't really say in the press conference. But so I think I feel. As much as we just kind of did this segment about how weird these drafts are and this and that and all the reasons, like, I do really feel for these guys and women that they're doing these jobs and they can't really tell you why they did what they did, because other teams are involved and people are involved. And so they just would get themselves in trouble if they said everything. And then in turn, when they don't say everything, we turn around and criticize them. I think it's kind of garbage.
You know who's not garbage is Victor Wembanyama. So before we get you out, Locke, the last time the Jazz get to play the Spurs this year, tonight, and Vic has had Big Vic has had a 21 and 10 and a half type of a year. Those are his points and rebounds, of course, and 3.5 blocks almost every night. He's everything that I think everybody was excited about what he was going to be, and yet he's on a team that's not doing very well. First year and first glances at Big Vic and what he's meant to the league so far, and this final time the Jazz get to see him tonight.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 thoughts, and I might just give you your talk show topic for the next 90 minutes.
Love it.
I try to have some value to you.
Yeah.
All right, first thing, and this is just a note you might not have on Victor, so I'm sharing it because I think Victor's so talked about, most people have heard about him. So 2 quick things. One is in San Antonio, I went down the floor and stood next to him while he warmed up the whole time. I've never, in 32 years or 31 years of the NBA, I've never experienced anything like it. I can't.
From the shooting standpoint or just the body standpoint?
The body, the length.
Yeah.
Or like running the pretend pick and roll drill that they all do, and he literally takes one step and dunks from outside the 3-point line. It's insane. So that's the first thing. Here's the thing I think is most interesting about Victor Wembanyama. if you go to NBA, and I'm saying this so people can do it, if you go to NBA.com/stats and you go to his page and then you click on splits, they allows you, it's like hidden. It's like the best feature, and they make it really hard for you to do it, not the greatest marketing by the NBA. You click on his shots taken, it will take you to his shot chart. It is the most equally distributed shot chart I've ever seen out of any player ever in my time covering the NBA. And that's actually not necessarily a good thing long term. If you think about Karl Malone, Kevin Durant, great scorers, they get the ball in spots
place.
and they take
Mm-hmm.
Right. It leads me to think that the Spurs very consciously this year just let him play wherever he wanted, however he wanted, in the realm of thing, to try to figure out what his spots were and where those spots might be eventually. And the idea that he's doing this without those spots and without that right now is just flabbergasting to me. Because then when he gets them, it's over because you can never deny him a shot.
What's wild too is the block number. The block number for me is so crazy because the next closest on the list of most blocks in the NBA is Chet Holmgren, and he's 50 behind him on the season.
Right.
Like that's wild. And guess what? You got a guy who's 7'1" who has made his whole life, playing basketball of blocking shots, and you're still, 25% behind the other guy, who's leading the entire league, and that's what you're used to being really, really good at. So
the only thing that's weird is that their defense is awful, so that's weird.
That is kind of crazy.
Here's my question. Sly, you ready? Here you go.
Let's go.
One player, start your franchise. No one's on any rosters. You're starting your own. You got the first pick.
Would you rather?
You're going to own your you have your franchise for the next 10 years.
Okay.
Who are you taking in the NBA right now? You only have the franchise for the next 10 years. On that day, it expires, and somebody else gets it. It's a new league, new weird thing we do. Every roster is reset on March 27th, 2024, and of all weird things, Stevenson Sylvester got the first pick, and he gets the franchise for 10 years. Who are you taking?
Who's it going to be?
Oh, my gosh. That is a great
well,
question.
How old you don't want to take – you don't want to take a guy like Jokic because he's almost 30, probably.
Well, I mean, Jokic just want to play with his horses, bro. He's literally 2-3 years. He's good. He makes it to another finals. He's like, all right, I can can it. But so Jokic is out for me. But I mean, there's just so many different young stars that are making noise and that you absolutely love. I think that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are kind of at their ceiling right now.
Uh-oh.
So if you're trying to project 10 years, I don't know if they could sustain that like a LeBron. I think LeBron is just, he's just an abnormality in all of that it just doesn't happen. People just don't last that long. But if you are, I just showed you, Alex, just Victor's, his dominance on his own team,
yeah.
And he's got the lowest numbers. I mean, as far as minutes, he's only averaging 28, 29 minutes a game.
That's bonkers.
And he's light years above everybody.
Then? He's going to be your guy?
I don't know because he's so lanky that it might be. He can patrol the paint, which is great, which is huge, right? We've seen the abilities of Rudy Gobert locking down the paint, complement with a great offensive threat of
That's
Donovan.
Not really his thing, though, right?
Right, but Victor can do both.
Mm-hmm.
With he can play off the ball and defend the hoop, which is.
Are you trying to
key.
convince yourself?
I am at the same time. I am
to have him or to have him.
I'm trying to figure out who do you go with, because you got guys like De'Aaron Fox who I absolutely love.
I already got it. Locke, here's mine.
Who's your guy?
I'll be number 2 in the draft, and I'll take SGA. When he takes Vic,
bro, he's so smooth.
Well, then ironically enough, I will be 3rd in the draft, just as was the case when he was drafted, and I'll take Luka Doncic, who was 3rd in that draft, and I'll be just fine in this game. However, to wrap it up for you, I've been asking this question. I've been playing with this question a lot.
That's a great question.
Most people are answering Victor.
Right.
I will give credit, and it wasn't on the record, so I'm going to leave the player's name out. I mean, you'll be able to reduce it down to 4 or 5 players. So it was one of our youngest players, and I asked him, and interestingly, he took Jokic, and his answer was, because I know I'll get a few championships early, and then we'll see what happens the rest of the way.
That's a good. I like it.
Good strategy.
Coach, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
Well, and Sly kind of went down that road, but then didn't want to give the full 10 years.
I did, because I'm looking at a 10-year investment of a guy, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you my answer. And it's just up late. This has really turned in this year. My answer is Anthony Edwards.
Oh, what?
I love that guy's tenacity, and I take his trajectory from the past 2 years. He's gotten better.
Yeah, he has.
And so a guy for the next 10 years to continue to get better, I take Anthony Edwards.
Locke, there you go.
So this is what I did. This is what I did Locked on Jazz about today. And here's the daunting thing about what we just discussed. So I took Jokic and Doncic to some extent, right? Like I kind of took two. You took two to some extent, Sly. You took Victor and Anthony Edwards, right? That was kind of what you were deciding.
Yeah.
And Alex, you took SGA. Okay, the next choice is either Jason Tatum or Devin Booker.
Ooh.
Okay? 6 of those players are in the Western Conference, and you didn't count Zion Williamson in there, who probably is worthy of this discussion.
Zion, but I'm just no.
Yeah, and it's based off of, it's only based off of, but is he going to be able to sustain what he's doing right now? Because before it's been not as good. So
New Orleans cooking.
If I guaranteed you health on all these players, you might take Zion.
That's something different. That is very different. That is very different.
I agree. But the daunting thing, if you're the Utah Jazz and you're rebuilding, is that 7 of these players are in your conference right now.
Right.
That's exactly right. Yep, boy, that's hard. Well,
I mean, hopefully Anthony Edwards goes to the Atlanta Hawks so he can go back home at some point. But
you're just trying to convince guys to go home. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to Atlanta? And you're like just trying to get guys out of the Western Conference lock. That's your job over the next little while. Just tell guys when they're warming up. It'd be nice if you got back to Atlanta, right? And his family miss you.
Little buzz in his ear.
Preferably he does it before we've used all their draft picks.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Your contract's coming up.
David Locke, he's making the call. Last time for Big Vic and the Utah Jazz in his rookie season to be able to see the Rookie of the Year this season with the Utah playing against the Jazz tonight.
We only have like 3 or 4 home games left.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. 10 games left, and then just a handful of home games, and so get to Delta Center, man. There's gonna be get to Delta Center tonight, isn't there? Or then there's one Friday, right? And let me see here. Yeah, I don't have the schedule.
Cleveland.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you still get to see.
We have one, I think we have one or two more after that, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then the Nuggets and the Rockets. Those are your last 2. There you go. Okay. Yeah. Have a good call tonight, Locke. We love having you on, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Locke.
Yeah, see you
there you go, David Locke. Oh man, he was a little bit starstruck with you. Yes, this happens.
Oh, come on.
See, you get Sly in, and then people go, "Hey, you're that guy."
Hey, I remember you.
You're that guy.
You're that old guy about 20 years ago.
That's good. You know what's funny is like, gosh, 2008. It's a long time ago, Sly.
Hey, man, I told you didn't have to say the year.
I'm pulling your wife on this one. Boy, you're old, aren't you?
You're washed
You're
up.
really old.
Leave the house. Hey, you're washed
What happened
up.
here?
Don't try to do anything athletic outside the house.
Oh, my goodness. All right. We're late here. That means we're late to get to Adam from 5 Star Painting. Adam, the deals are out there to be had. And certainly, look, if it's roofing companies, if it's windows, if it's painting, people, you guys show up this time of year and go, hey, 'tis the season, but that's no joke. And on top of the fact that this is when people really start getting going on these types of jobs, getting their house painted on the outside or on the inside or something on the outside of their home that they want to paint, that fence even, you guys can help them out. And there's a reason it's a good time to do it now, because you want to get your guys going early and get them going on the season. And you do that by incentivizing with the free paint. You got 15% off. What's the deal for people who are listening right now? How can we get them calling you guys?
Yeah, so the deal today is the big deal is an extra 15% off of the quote, and all you have to do is call and schedule a free estimate. You don't have to commit to anything, no money or anything. Just call today. You can schedule it for whenever it's good for you. It can be 2 weeks from now, whatever. You just call today and get it scheduled. That's going to get you an extra 15% off along with free paint. And if you need some help with your colors so you don't paint your house yellow, I can hook you up with free color consultations through Sherwin-Williams. And all you're doing is calling and scheduling an estimate.
Yeah, so you don't have to mention the radio or nothing like that. You just got to say, today's the day where you get an extra 15% off.
Yeah, if they call and say, hey, I heard you on KSL, I heard you on the radio, then that's how we know that's why they're calling, and that'll get you the 15% off.
You have to say it, buddy.
I'm just saying. I just want to make sure, because these are the questions that I get.
That's the way I want it. That's why do I have to say the radio? Just do it.
I didn't say that.
Just for fun, do it. That's it. Just say, hey, Adam, you're the guy. You're that guy. They do that with Sly. They can do it with Adam. Come on.
It's not quite the same.
It's not as fun.
I'm telling you right now.
I'm not as cool by any means.
Fine. Okay, so let me give that phone number out. Let me get people on the books. Let's get that free estimate just to start things off. And then we get that estimate, and then take the 15% off on top of it, and plus the free paint. Free paint. Hello.
Yeah.
801-280-2649. That's 801-280-2649. You get a hold of 5 Star Painting. They're going to hook you up. You got those deals. Let Adam and his team take care of you, too. Top-notch service and high-quality paints as well. And you get free paint as well. So ask them about it. Get the 15% off. 801-280. Did I say 280? 208. 801-208-2649. So there you go. 5 Star Painting. Adam, we appreciate it, man. We'll come back. We got more to go around the corner. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the biggest name. You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It is 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Stevenson Sylvester, Sly joining in place of JJ today on JJ and Alex. I was telling Sly, my dad played for the Marines back in, so he played in college. After his college, he goes into the Marines as a commissioned officer and played football for the Marines football team. They used to have a football team back then. It was a recruiting tool, and all the guys on the Marine team were basically, all-American level players, but they go into the Marines to do their service, and then they go. So we have in my house, this is like one of our great treasures, is my dad's Marine helmet, which is gold with that Marine seal on it. Mm-hmm. Okay, but then it also has a big old red Q around it, which is Quantico, which is where where they were headquartered there. And so that's like that's a treasure in our house, having that gold Marine helmet, and. I don't know why we got onto that topic. Why were we talking about that? I can't remember.
We were talking about Laurie Markkinen
and his military service. Yeah. That's right. And we were like, I think he did his duty. We don't have to worry about missing him in the offseason this next year.
Right.
He went out there, did some good PR for for the Swedish military, and then boom, there you go. Or Finnish military.
Finnish. Yeah.
Yeesh. I take a lot of pride in knowing what my Scandinavian countries are, but sometimes you get mixed up. All right. I got some tickets to give away. Should we do that right now? Christian, let's do it. Okay, Christian says let's do it, so we're going to do it. Caller number 12 right now wins a pair of tickets to A Day to Remember at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on July 21st of this summer. A Day to Remember. Get those tickets right now. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. 801-575-ZONE. Caller number 12 gets a pair of tickets. All right, real quick here about the... I was just looking at this, too, up on the screen. You tell me what you think, Sly. NCAA President Charlie Baker. I can't get through it without laughing because NCAA President Charlie Baker has zero power, especially in college athletics now.
Right.
But he says he wants a national ban on college prop bets. Okay? Now, it's kind of an interesting thing here, right? But there has been a string. He says sports betting issues are on the rise across the country, with prop bets continuing to threaten the integrity of competitions and leading to student athletes and professional athletes getting harassed. Will Hardy actually brought this very subject up, Sly. He said, since I've gotten this job, I've had at least one person yell something from the crowd every single night at me. about a particular player or the spread or points or rebounds or minutes, fouling at the end of the game.
Keep Laurie in. He's got to score.
It's like, I got the under on points. Stop shooting. Right?
Stop shooting.
I mean, that's essentially what he's talking about. Now, manipulating prop bets is something that, Vegas tries to keep a close eye on. It's also a big moneymaker for them. So let me just give you a little hint as to how this is going to go. Charlie Barker, NCAA president, or Baker, you will not see any movement. You will not see a change.
At all.
Until the competition is so affected, until these players, by the way, players are betting. And we're finding out more and more about how these players are betting. The number of players betting is not going up from what it used to be, Sly. It's just that now, because it's so closely associated with these leagues and even at the college level now, it behooves the gambling houses, your sports books, and the league themselves to get more stringent on hunting these guys down. So finding these guys who are betting on the game, they're able to find them all the time, right? All the Iowa and Iowa State players who were making all those bets last year before the season started up, like to the tune of thousands and thousands of bets, and some of them made by guys who are underage, right, who faked their mom's accounts or whatever, right? And that stuff has always happened. It's just that now they're coming out and busting those guys and trying to do it pretty publicly.
Yeah, they got their own task force.
It's wild to think that, one, Charlie Baker going, I want to ban on college prop bets. You will never see that happen because the people who run your world, Charlie Baker, are now the money folks. Right. Yes, it's the money. It's the TV contracts. It's the sports books.
Money talks. DraftKings, your biggest sponsor. FanDuel's right there.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to tell them to stop, and they're the one who's putting you on? Come on now. Everybody wants a little extra money in their pocket.
Done. That's it. Yeah. That's the end of it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just like, wild. I'm just like, Charlie, what are you doing? Like, you got to have a different approach than blindly saying that.
What? The NCAA?
Maybe, I think he's just saying, like, I'm trying to do my job here. I know nothing's going to happen, but I just want people to know that I'm trying here. So that's
like, look, I'm not going to be able to be the president of a organization that's going to go under
Right.
No one cares about what the NCAA
But this statement I made, that can go on my resume. I was there. I was trying to stop
I told
this.
those betting houses to stop it very sternly.
I put my foot down.
I asked Congress. Like, that's my favorite. I sat down with a senator.
Oh,
unless you're Nick Saban,
right?
If you're sitting down with a senator, no one cares.
You're not moving the needle.
I'm in front of Congress, Mr. Chairman, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much on behalf of the NCAA athletes. He's like, we don't care, dude. Come on, it's not going to change. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we have our Utah football spring update. That's more to go right around the corner. Oh, we got some stuff that was talking. Hey, backup battle. The backup battle up on the hill. That's the one that everybody wants to know about. Isaac Wilson versus Brandon Rose, man.
Quarterback is a big business.
QB2 and QB3. All right, we'll come back. More to go. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
And now your Ute Spring Football Update on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
He's taken another step forward. There's a great battle going on between him and Isaac Wilson right now for that number 2 spot. And they're both competing extremely well. And it'll be interesting to see what happens these last 7 practices.
There's Kyle Whittingham talking about the quarterback battle between, no, not for the starting position. Who's going to be QB2 and QB3? Brandon Rose and Isaac Wilson. I don't know if you're partial to Isaac Wilson just because you got to see him play so much and he's just one of these. I mean, Brandon Rose is also a 4-star guy, though,
right,
coming out of high school. So, and he's somebody who's been with the program a little bit longer. So how do you win that job as a freshman? When Cam Rising is obviously the guy, Sly, how do you win that starting job as not the starting job, that QB2 behind Cam Rising as a brand new, he should still be in his senior year. Should be going to prom, man, in the next month.
Should be. I think he did. Go to prom.
Is it already that time?
Hey, man, that prom comes earlier and earlier.
Does it?
Like for me. I don't know. I got to double check that, but he probably already went to prom. You go from spring practice to prom.
Some mom's like, you went to prom with a college boy? What?
You just had to sneak in a mom joke talking about a Wilson kid.
Hey, I wasn't that mom joke, Christian. It was not the mom joke you were thinking of.
We know what you meant. We know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It should have been. You're going with the Wilson boy who's in college? Wow.
Wow. Well, all right.
Terrible.
Right. Instead of the 4 years out of high school.
No. So there you go. I don't know how you win that battle, though, for QB2, because obviously you don't get all the reps because the first team guys, those are the only reps that really matter to coaches. It's hard because those battles go on. Mm-hmm. And for the second and third string, quarterback, that's tough. Like to have a lot of focus on that.
Yeah, for me, to win that job, it's got to be straight fearlessness. If the coaches can see that nothing spooks you, nothing can get you off of your game, you're not overthinking it. You're just going out there and balling, right? Because you get these young guys, and this is what I've seen in Isaac Wilson's junior year of high school. There was a lot of things that frustrated him because he wanted to be so perfect. And, like, right now, there is literally no pressure. You're the third-string quarterback. All right, red shirt this year. Come back as a red shirt freshman next year, and you're fine. But for me, right now, if you want to win this thing, this is how I came into Utah in 2006. It's just like, I didn't care. I'm like, look, I'm on this team. I'm just balling out. I played with absolutely no worry. And I just balled out and ended up getting a lot of playing time my true freshman year. And that's what Isaac Wilson's got to do. And I think Isaac Wilson can do that. He has the swagger. He has the arm. He has all the talent to do that. But Brandon Rose, man, he's been in this program. He's like, all right, man, I got to put up. And so absolutely love the QB2 competition because, one, it helps everybody else out, right? The second and third teams are getting valuable reps because of that competition. And so those guys are competing at a high level. It's elevating everybody else around from the offense and defense. It just comes full circle. So Coach Whittingham's definitely going to push the envelope with this QB2 competition.
Let's get out here to Adam from 5 Star Painting, who's helping us out all this hour and all day long, helping our listeners get a little bit better deal on not just getting the inside or outside of their home painted, but there's a lot of other options out there, Adam. So what kind of a deal are we giving to guys today who are listening to 5 Star Painting talking about this on the air?
Yeah, so we're hooking up everyone with free paint, and that's from Sherwin-Williams.
What's that normally cost, by the way? Like, what's a job with what's free paint kind of look like? What does the cost of paint usually get rolled in by maybe some of those other companies out there?
Well, so the average person, if you were to go in and just buy a gallon of the paint that we're giving away free, it's between $60 to $70 a gallon.
Wow.
Now that's not what it costs me. Obviously, I get a little better of a deal, but on an average, free paint's going to save you $300 to $500 maybe, depending on the size of the job.
That's huge.
Plus the 15% we were talking about,
and then the 15% off, which I say that a lot, and maybe to people it's like, oh, it's maybe a small percentage or something. Well, since we're talking about exteriors and it's spring, and that's kind of what people are starting to look at, an average exterior paint job, 15% off is around $700. So $700 plus maybe another $300. Yeah, it's about $1,000 off of a job, in the right circumstances. So it's a good deal.
There are people who go, I got this paint right here that I found in my dad's garage. You use that one? I would imagine you've seen it all over the years, Adam.
Yeah.
So don't do that. You just get the paint for free. It's a high-quality paint. Don't grab grandma's paint from the garage, man.
Yeah. I mean, people will have their own paint, or they'll start the job themselves and then realize, this is a lot.
A little higher than I thought it was going to be.
And so we get a lot of it, which is fine. You can still call me. I won't judge, but I recommend just giving us a call first and save yourself the trouble.
All right, let me give that phone number out. If you want to get the 15% off, you got to mention you heard it on KSL, you heard it on the radio, you heard Adam talking about it on the radio. So all we're going to do is give that phone number out. You get the free estimate. You don't have to book everything today, but have them come out and get the estimate. And then on that estimate, you get the 15% off on top of it, the free paint. Good? Deal?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
801-208-2649. That's 801-208-2649. 801-208-2649 for a 5-star paint.
Get those garages painted.
Get it going.
It changes I'm telling you, I love pulling in my garage with my garage painted. It makes a world of difference.
Gosh, I got to get this garage paint situation going.
I'm telling you, do it.
Okay.
Do it.
I already painted my front door black. I'm going to go put another coat on, see if I can add more value to it when we come home. and I'll get Adam and his guys to come out. Okay, 5-Star Painting, 208-2649. That's 801-208-2649. We got more to go around the corner. Stay right here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us. We got tons going on the program today. Stevenson Sylvester, former NFL linebacker, former University of Utah linebacker, filling in for JJ while he's been out the last couple of days. Sly, you having fun, dude? I mean, we're up against it here. I mean, we've just been flying through both of these shows these last couple of days.
Man, I don't even realize it. You start talking Utes, even the guys from down south.
What does that mean?
Right? And
you're talking about the NFL
paint,
going to Mexico. I get it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And even paint.
Even paint.
Time flies by.
It does. So I appreciate Sly filling in the last couple of days, man. It's always fun to catch up and get all these things, cover all these topics. There's not a topic that Sly does not want to talk about, including right now. Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives makes the G2G Bar a perfect protein bar. Find it in the refrigerated section at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, and all sorts of stores popping up across the Wasatch Front as well. Let's get to a college basketball guest here. We've been checking in with the Heat Check CBB guys all year long here, and now the rubber meets the road. Connor Hope joining us on the program right now. Connor, thanks for being with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to finally get on. I've heard great things from my my co-writers. So
well, we've had fun getting the insight from you guys, and so now with the first weekend of the books of the NCAA tournament, have you readjusted your sights? Is there a new version of somebody who you think is the team to watch to win that NCAA tournament, or is it the usual suspects? If I look across the board on our website's brackets, everybody's got UConn or Houston or, a handful of North Carolinas. But really it's that UConn and Houston kind of back and forth. Where do you have these things lined up? If you were to give me somebody else who could win this national championship, who would it be besides the kind of the top dogs?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on the money. UConn and for me, it's UConn and Purdue played the first weekend like they were the two best teams in college basketball. Obviously, they were ranked number one most of the season, one of them. The team for me, as I'm readjusting my sights on who could win a national championship, there's really two. Illinois and Duke have looked extremely good so far in this tournament. Duke seems to be the only team in the tournament whose freshman guard showed up in those big moments, in Jared McCain, in both the Vermont game and the James Madison game. Obviously, Illinois as well looked really good to start the tournament. Terrence Shannon has been on a heater as of late. But both of them have played two double-digit seeds. So we go into this second weekend with Illinois playing Iowa State, best defense in the country, with Duke playing Houston, probably second or third best defense in the country, a 1 seed and a 2 seed for each of them. And that's where we're going to see whether how they looked in the first round is really who they are, or if their path to the Sweet 16 made them look better. But those are the two teams for me outside of the top three of UConn, Houston, and Purdue that have really looked like they could win a national championship.
If you are it's from a year last year where we had multiple double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16. We have a little bit more of a normal year when it comes to the big names and the single digits in the Sweet 16 this year. Only NC State, I think, is that only double digit that's still in this tournament. So what are the most likely upset factors from somebody who might be a more dark horse? I know that you can't really count Duke as a dark horse because they're kind of always there, and that's a team that could show up and surprise some people in this in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. But what about the team nobody talks about? Who is that team this year?
Well, right now, I think that team is probably Clemson. I think Clemson there's really only 3 dark horses: San Diego State, who made a Final Four last year,
right.
Clemson, and NC State. Everyone else is in the top 14 of Ken Pom. They played unbelievable down the stretch, and they're supposed to be there, right? But for me, it's Clemson. Clemson answered all the questions in this first weekend. They played the athletic backcourt of New Mexico. They played another really skilled backcourt in Baylor, and they controlled the game in both of those games, and it never really looked like their wins were in doubt. And that was without really a good performance in either game from P.J. Hall, their star center. So they meet Arizona, a team that has been known to play with their food, a team that struggled to put away Dayton. And on the other side of that region, they have a UNC, who is the 4th 1 seed, but there's a pretty big gap between the top 3 1 seeds and UNC when it came to seeding, or Alabama, who went stretches against Grand Canyon without being able to hit a shot. So I think Clemson coming out of that region, while it might be a surprise, it's not coming out of nowhere. Joe Girard has been playing poorly, but outside of him, Chase Hunter's been playing well. Shiflin's been playing well. Chauncey Wiggins has been playing well. So that Clemson team, I think, if you're talking about the 3 dark horses, they're the ones that I think are most likely to make the final weekend.
Man, I love it. Sly here, Connor. So all 1 seeds are essentially alive right now. Who's the biggest threat? I know you said San Diego State before because making the Final Four this year or last year, they've looked pretty good. But you're talking about Purdue is still alive with Gonzaga's always a threat in the Final Four. Who's the biggest threat to be upset as the number 1 seed so far?
I think UNC is probably the most vulnerable, as I said. But if you're talking about those 3 top 3 1 seeds, it's Houston. Houston gave up a 12-point lead to Texas A&M at the end of regulation in their game. And sure, we can talk about that. Every 1 seed gets a scare, but they're hobbled right now. They are getting called for fouls that they didn't necessarily get called for in Big 12 play. They go up against a really good Duke team. And then on the other side of their bracket, they have a really good Marquette team. And when you talk about guard play winning in March, Jamal Shedd, one of the best point guards in the country, so is Tyler Kolek. So I think they're probably the most vulnerable. But if you're talking about strength of region, Purdue's region has Mark Few, who's been to 2 national championships, a really good Tennessee team with the player who's probably going to be National Player of the Year runner-up to Zach Edey in Dalton Connect.
Yeah,
and then a Creighton team that when they're hitting shots is really good. And then obviously you heard Dan Hurley talking about how UConn's region is really tough as well. So all 3, I think, could lose before the first weekend or before the final weekend. But I think Houston is the one that if I had to put my money on one team losing before the final weekend out of those 3, it'd be Houston.
It was good because my bracket has UNC and Duke kind of in that Final Four.
Oh,
so,
look at you.
Kind of makes it happen.
Look at you wanting an old Tobacco Road matchup between those 2 teams.
It really is for me. I had all
it is old school
classics in my Final Four.
Yeah,
so
there's something to be said about it. We had such a weird Final Four last year, Connor, that maybe you get back to a little bit more of a quote-unquote normal-looking bracket, I guess. Get the old Blue Bloods there. Get them back in this whole thing, right?
No, absolutely. I would not be surprised. My Final Four after the first weekend, so when I kind of reset, my Final Four was UConn, Purdue, Duke, and Arizona. But obviously North Carolina is the 1 seed. They could make it. I really do think, though, that we're on a collision course of Purdue, UConn right now. That's what it looks like. So it'd be tough for any team in their region to make the final weekend. But the other 2 regions, I think, are pretty wide open.
We, of course, here locally in Utah, we had Utah State and BYU both in there. And Utah State got their first tournament win since 2001, but ran into Purdue, who is on they're on the warpath here after last year's embarrassment. So
Edey was a monster.
Edey was, they only played 1 half. He only needed to be a monster for 1 half. So when you look at the teams that are left, I'm surprised because The Big East has been pretty weak this year, but they're undefeated now as a conference this entire tournament, even though they only got 3 teams in. I think it was the fewest they've had since 1993.
Yeah, I mean, the Big East had a lot of bubble teams. Part of that was that the Big East just beat itself up. And you're talking about teams that got quite a few wins in other conferences, or in the case of like a Michigan State, they might have had 15 losses, but they played a top 8 strength of schedule, which kind of explains their record. Big East was really top heavy. I mean, it was really just UConn, Marquette, Creighton. There were some upsets thrown in there. Seton Hall won a few big games. Providence won a few big games, but same with the ACC. I mean, it was never really in doubt who the top 3 to 4 teams in those conferences were. And when you have situations like that versus a Mountain West situation where 1 through 7 is so close, you're going to see a lot more bids, I think, go to those competitive conferences rather than the conferences where UConn, Marquette, Creighton were easily the top 3 teams in the Big East from start to finish. And it was really just them, and then Seton Hall kind of snuck up into 4th. But outside of that, no one else really had a chance.
Is there? I mean, we see this periodically, and I don't know. You tell us because you cover this, so much more closely, I think, than we do. But when it comes to guys who make a name for themselves in the tournament, I think of probably the most fiery one over the last little while has been John Morant, right? Who plays at Murray State, goes into the tournament, has such an insane tournament that he ends up being a top 3 pick. And so, is there some version of that now? Is there somebody who is in this tournament so far been so spectacular that now they're turning heads and maybe becoming some of those draft prospects that weren't necessarily considered before?
I don't know if we've had that, because it's been pretty, even more so than usual, pretty experience heavy, pretty high major heavy in terms of teams that have won, players who have dominated. And when you have things like that, like all the names that have been performing well in this tournament have been on people's radar, whether they are viewed as draft prospects or not. They've pretty much been there. I mean, I tweeted this out the other day. All 5 Cousy Award finalists are the point guard for 5 of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16. You've got 4 of the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar finalists, which is for top center of the year, in the Sweet 16. So names that have been there, done that. I think the name that probably has done themselves the most this tournament is Jared McCain for Duke, and the way he's played, because he is a freshman. He has not disappeared in the moment, and I think he's done himself a lot of favors when it comes to his draft stock come summer.
As we look at the rest of this thing here, and I'm one of those guys that goes, the first weekend is unbeatable, but there is something special about teams winning those regional championships, in this weekend. If you were to pick one of the best weekends in terms of watchable games, is it the first one? Is it the second one? Is it the Final Four to the finals and then the championship? What's your favorite weekend of the NCAA tournament, Connor?
I always think that a good first weekend sets up a pretty mediocre second weekend and vice versa. And I think we're about to get a great second weekend in this one, because you can talk all you want about major upsets, but when those teams get off that high, have a 4-day break to prepare for a team like Houston, if James Madison had pulled the upset over Duke, or, maybe even Dayton preparing for Clemson, they tend to cool off in that second weekend. And that's why you see teams like St. Peter's made the Elite Eight, but then they got smoked by North Carolina. Princeton made the second weekend last year, but they got handled pretty easily by Creighton. Those games tend to fall off, and it disappoints in the second weekend. I think this time around, where you really do have one of the strongest by seed lines and by the metric Sweet 16 in the history of the tournament to this point, you're going to have a great second weekend. And there's a ton of good Sweet 16 games. And beyond that, there's a ton of opportunity for some really, really good Elite Eight matchups.
Yes, Connor, where do you watch? Yeah, I see you've got insight on all these games. Where do you watch all these games at? Do you have a space where is it just your house, or you go somewhere where you can just...
Where have you watched your bracket blow up this year, Connor?
Well, I have an 18-month-old, so I've been in the living room for most of the tournament. But when he's napping,
oh, so you got Bluey and
that,
basketball going on at the same time.
Yeah, but when he's asleep, I'm in my office in my cave, just going through stat broadcasts and stuff, trying to figure out what the next round is going to look like, because teams change over the course of the season, and what we knew 3 weeks ago or thought we knew 2 weeks ago or a week ago is completely different now when you look at teams like NC State and Clemson making the Sweet 16. When you look at the way that Illinois has played and Duke has played, you kind of have to reset. So a lot of my time is spent in my office for these 3 weeks of the year.
Do you even fill out a bracket? I feel like all of us who are pretty close to the sports world, we're not as plugged into the college basketball world probably as we would be maybe to college football or the NFL or something. So do you fill out a bracket, and is it as bad as most people? Does it go along with the old adage of like, the
too much
paralysis by overanalysis? Yes.
Yeah, well, I was on a flight from Japan back to the States when Selection Sunday started. I was up in the middle of the night watching championship week, and I filled out one bracket as soon as the brackets came out, and I didn't look at it again until games started on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So didn't take too long. I have been somewhat known within Heat Check to not pick a ton of upsets. And this year I tried to manufacture a region of chaos. And the fact that there were 0 regions of chaos, my bracket was busted as soon as Arizona and Long Beach State began the second half. So.
Oh, well, then you're like the rest of us. So there you go. Finally, Connor Hope, everybody from Heat Check CBB, you can find his byline there, and you get all the insights from a guy who is just like you. His bracket blew up after weekend 1, and so there you go. Connor, thanks for hanging out, man. We'll chat with you again, and we appreciate the help you guys have given us this season, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and enjoy the games this weekend.
Will do. There you go. All right. Let's take a break. Hey, before we do, guess we have in studio? We have Adam from 5 Star Painting. Now, Adam has been handing out deals all day, but I know for a fact you got another one in your back pocket, a little something extra. Is this now we're talking about this? Can I not even say anything about it? What's going on? You've been brewing something up over there. It's not just 15%. It's not just free paint. Adam's offering all sorts of stuff today. What do you have for people who want to get their houses on the inside or outside repainted? Got to get with 5 Star Painting. But, Adam, what's the incentive even more so right now?
Well, I got a little extra one just for today.
Ooh, hot take.
So next week is opening week for the Salt Lake Bees, and I'm going to throw a first pitch on Wednesday. So anyone that calls today, well, not anyone, but if you call today and you schedule an estimate, I'm going to give you the 15% off.
Got it.
The free paint.
Got it.
And then I'm going to pick 2 people to get free Bees tickets as well.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
Okay, Bees
Can you
tickets?
throw a ball? Have you thrown a ball?
I'm fairly athletic, but it's I'm a
Bro,
T-ball
I'm
coach.
intimidated.
I'm a T-ball coach. I can do
You're
it.
T-ball.
Okay.
T-ball can do it.
No pitching in T-ball, by the way. No pitches thrown. That's
Hey, man,
actually a disadvantage.
Hit dingers in T-ball, man. Get out to the outfield, throw that home.
I will say, so Adam's going to throw out the first pitch at the Bees game. When is that? Because I want to go early and see either some fireworks or you fall off of the mound. I don't know. I don't know which one I want more.
I just hope I don't look like a fool, man. I'm already nervous.
Hey, you know what, though? Well, who was the guy? It was like somebody was throwing the first pitch out for the Red Sox, and he throws such a bad first pitch out. And there was a photographer maybe 20 feet off to the right, and he hit him straight.
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Can't be that
just
bad.
Boom. You can't be that bad. And you can't be 50 Cent throwing that thing straight into the dirt.
Well, he's a righty, so he's already going to start off on a good foot there.
So there you go. All right, so there's the Bees tickets.
Yeah, Wednesday. So it's the April 3rd.
Okay, so next week.
Yeah, it's their second. The first game, the opening night is Tuesday, and then the second game is Wednesday.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So let me give that phone number out. And if you want to get your house on the schedule, at least to get that free estimate. Look, it doesn't hurt to ask. That's the whole point. I tell people just have 5 Star Painting come out, have them give you a bid, have them tell you all the stuff they can do for you. One of Adam's team members can come out and go, look, and they're experts, by the way. They'll come out, they'll tell you exactly what they can do. They'll give you the estimate. You get 15% off and free paint for mentioning that you heard it right here on the KSL Sports Zone. So
right here, baby.
801-208-2649. That is 801-208-2649. Take advantage of those deals, and plus you could be one of the folks who gets the free tickets to the Bees game as well. The no cost. I think we get in trouble for saying free. You know what? They're free because they're your tickets. They're not ours. You can give them away for free.
I'll give them away.
There you go. All right. 801-208-2649 for 5 Star Painting. Adam, thanks for hanging out today, man. We appreciate it. We'll chat with Adam in just another few minutes here. We're going to get you ready for the Utah Jazz tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. Pre-game coming up here at 6 o'clock, and your tip-off at 7 on the Utah Jazz Radio Network. So stay right here. Much more to go around the corner. By the way, this portion of the show also brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships, Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. Incredible selections, by the way, in American Fork and Spanish Fork at the Doug Smith Dealerships. So great service starts with great know-how. Nobody knows like Doug. Here, Doug. We'll come back. Oh, and also, if you want to get your retirement figured out, get the folks at Trajan Wealth a call. Go to their website, Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth, local trusted financial fiduciaries. We'll come back. When we return, we got some stuff to jump into before we even get to the Jazz. It is officially going to be our NFL Blitz. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the ridiculousness of the new kickoff rule, as Sly, somebody who's participated in kickoffs, will give us his thoughts. So stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen off this week. Enter Stevenson Sylvester. Sly's been an awesome, I wouldn't even say fill-in host, just an awesome co-host this week, dude. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Appreciate that, man. I know you've been around the block, so
this
compliment from you is great.
This is where you really earn your keep here, okay? It's an NFL topic.
Oh, okay. Let's focus.
Now, when you got into the league, like everyone knew, like, hey, look, your path to kind of find your way in. There's no waste on anybody when it comes to the rosters in the NFL. Like, there's zero room for it's. The margins are razor thin on the guys who are at the end of that thing. It's those 4 guys in and 4 guys out. Either one of them, they could you could see them making a decision for a lot of those guys. And in your case, they told you, hey, look, part of the deal is you play special teams. And you make a name for yourself on special teams. Were you ever on a kickoff team?
Oh, that was my specialty. Even when I first got here to Utah.
That's how you got on the field.
Yeah, it was kickoff. I made tons of plays. Even at Utah, it was the same way. And it's the same way in the NFL, right? And so, like, for me, when you are on the border, you do have some good veterans, like I can develop this guy. This guy's athletic. That means I can put him on special teams and it'll work, right? And then wait for his development, and then I can put him into that exact role. And so, like, kickoff was huge for me. That's how I got into a league. That's how I made the plays on kickoff my rookie year in training camp. Because when I came in, I was the 3rd linebacker drafted. So I was just an extra pick. But I made so many plays being on special teams that they're like, okay, this is our guy. We got to keep him. So, like, people make a lot of plays, make their salaries, make their jobs off of special teams.
And the jobs have gotten a little bit more weird now that the kickoff rules are going to be. So we're doing this year, right? The league is going to do these rules this year. Yeah. And I know they've been trying it out in the XFL. I don't know what they have loved so much about it at that level, because when you watch it, it looks like a dumb drill that your coaches asked you to do in high school, right? When you're watching it, you're like, what are we doing here?
That's exactly what I got for that.
The kicker is lined up from his normal spot at the 35, 40-yard line, wherever they kick it from. And he's a lone man on an island over there kicking because the kickoff team lines up on the opposite side of the field at the 40-yard line of the opposing team, of the kick return team. Yes, at the 40-yard line. The kick return team then lines up at the 35 or the 30. You can't go back further than the 30, but you can't go ahead of the. So it's as little as 5 yards or up to 10. And then there's the kick zone, the kick drop zone, which goes from the 20-yard line to the goal line. Have you picked all this up yet, Sly?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at a map right now because that's the only way I can.
Because I'm describing it, and it's basically like I'm telling everybody to be a fan of cricket. What you got here is when you hit it, now it's a full circle. No. The kick drop zone is from the 20 to the goal line. There are no fair catches. If the ball does not land if the ball lands in the drop zone, it has to be returned. There's no fair catches, okay? So in that sense, you go, okay, you're going to get a play. You're going to get a play here. Now, the way that they're mitigating a lot of these injuries that they've seen over the years is that's why the kickoff team is starting from the other side of the field is they're basically going to get that, and they can't move until the ball is caught. So the receiving team catches the ball. You can only have 2 returners max. So one of those returners catches the ball. As soon as the ball is caught in that drop zone, then everybody engages, right? The kickoff team starts going toward the guy. The kick return team engages with them only 5 yards away. And then, I don't know, the magic is supposed to happen.
It's magic.
Are there going to be more touchdown returns because of this, Sly? Are there going to be fewer? What is the deal with the future of the onside kick? What am I supposed to think about this new kickoff rule?
I mean, I'm still learning because I feel like they're implementing rules.
It's so weird.
Every single day, but it's for me, it pisses me off. You know, because the first thing I think about with this is the personnel changes that are going to happen, right? Because you needed kickoff return guys that could match the athletic ability of the kickoff guys who are running down, right? Now you don't. You get some big guys on kick return, some DNs, some linebackers, some tight ends, big bodies, and they put their hands on somebody and literally just move them. Just push them. A lot of holding, a lot of things are going to happen. But it's literally like a stalemate. Like, you know, those tackling drills, the Oklahoma's tackling drills that we used to do. It's very close space, and you got to engage. So it's just like, what techniques are you going to be teaching the kickoff team to be able to get it? Or just kick it out of bounds, or just kick it out of the end zone?
No. Just kick it out of the end zone. Save us all.
Save us all.
Just kick it out of the end zone. I'm thinking about it.
Essentially, you'll get the ball started at the 40, not even at 35 anymore.
Oh, yeah. If you don't, that's the thing is, if it doesn't go into the drop zone, if it's out of the end zone, fine, it's a touchback. If it goes in front of the drop zone, it's automatically at the 40.
40, that means that offense. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes now has 60 yards to go. 13 seconds. He can get down in 2 seconds.
Here's how you want to hear how the onside kick works.
Oh gosh.
You can only declare. I declare onside kick. You can only declare 2 times an onside kick. And it can only be in the fourth quarter.
That's only in the fourth
quarter? Only in the fourth quarter.
Oh, Sean Payton's going to be pissed.
Oh.
Pissed.
I want to surprise him, but that kind of fun is going to get taken away. Come on.
Yeah, I made hay. I remember the Baltimore Ravens tried to surprise kick us.
Right.
And I just tore Justin Tucker's head off. Broke his helmet. It was so great. I was like, I knew this is coming. I'm like, don't try me. And I was extra pissed. I'm just like, oh, you thought, because you know on Waterboy when he's pointing out.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I thought Justin Tucker thought of me. So this is like even more for me. I'm like, oh, you think you could do this to me? You think you could do this to me? And so.
And in the end, your teammates are all, dude, you blew up a kicker.
Oh,
come on, man.
No. Because Justin Tucker was talking smack.
He's a trash talker.
He was trash talking our sidelines, our crowd.
Oh,
so Brett Kiesel was loving it.
Oh,
man. He was like, oh, yeah, kicker or not.
Good.
You're on the field. You're getting tore up.
Okay, we'll take the break here. Thanks for the insight, Sly. So even not endorsed by former NFL kick-off team specialists, okay? At least this one. All right. We'll come back. We've got more. We'll get you Jazz Daily next. Get you ready for this Jazz Spurs game. One more time to chat with Adam as well from 5 Star Painting. So stay with us, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz. It's time! All season long and even in the off season, it's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it! Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna.
Welcome back, everybody. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Stevenson Sylvester joining me today on the program, like yesterday. Can you believe we're getting up against it here, man? This has gone quick.
Yeah, it has. Where's our Crown Burger that we talked about yesterday?
Oh, boy. You know what?
Jeremy dipped out for a reason.
Very convenient that Jeremy's not here today.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll pick it right up for you guys. Christian's all, you got me today. Oh, okay, cool. We won't put it at your feet. We won't lay that at your feet, Christian. Thanks for filling in. Could you go ahead and sly up some Crown Burger?
I was never told about that. Now that you bring that up, that makes a lot of sense.
I was told there will be no math. Yeah, I was told I will not have to buy any of these Crown Burgers. Okay, you got it. Before we get into our Jazz Daily segment here, one more time be able to chat with Adam from 5 Star Painting. And we're going to get to Adam a little bit earlier here so we can get you to your Jazz basketball pregame on the Jazz Radio Network. So, Adam, wrapping up the whole day of us chatting with you and getting people to try to get on the books with 5 Star Painting because it's that time of year that people are wondering about improving the look on the outside of their home. So I'll tell you, in our case, we have the sun side of the house, so to speak, and the one that the sprinklers, for some reason, last year really loved to get that part. And the hardy board that's against that house, that side of the house, with the water hitting it, it's starting to fade. It's starting to fade. And I know I'm not the only person out there. There's a lot of reasons that paint starts to fade on the houses, but never fear because 5 Star Painting is here to help you out. So what can we give the folks who need to get some inside or outside work done to their home when it comes to painting?
Yeah, we're going to hook you up. And it's that time because that fading, fading's one thing, but that water with the sprinklers, as that keeps going, if you don't keep the maintenance on that, and it's not just sprinklers, but, the window trim and everything where water will sit, then it'll start to peel the paint and everything. And if you don't get that maintained, instead of paying me to paint it, you're going to pay someone else to replace it.
Oh, boy.
And I promise I'm cheaper than that guy. And so with that, we're gonna today, if you call today and schedule an estimate, that's all you're doing is scheduling the estimate. It can be a week, 2 weeks, a month from now, it doesn't matter. You're just scheduling today, and you're gonna say you heard us on KSL. I'm gonna give you free paint, 15% off, and I'm gonna pick 2 people to get free Bees tickets for next Wednesday.
Nice.
That's the most. Listen, it's fun to have the 15% off. It's great. That saves you a lot of money. It's even better to get the free paint. Awesome.
But
even
just
more
for
money in
calling
my
for
pocket.
the estimate. You can get 2 tickets next week.
Hey, come on now. Let's get it going. Let's get them on the books. Let's get you calling in. Let's get you on that estimate schedule because your crews come around, and this time of year they start getting busy. Yeah. So if somebody calls up and they're able to get on the books now, how long until they get a job done?
If you were to call today and say, hey, I want Friday. I want you to come out Friday. I can be there Friday, and then we could turn around in less than a week and have your project finished.
Okay, awesome.
Finished.
Let me give you the number here for all those things. 15% off, the free paint. He's going to give away Bees tickets to 2 people. So let's go. 801-208-2649. That's 801-208-2649. 5 Star Painting. Adam, thanks for hanging out with us today, man. I apappreciate it.
Yeah, it was nice. And a special guest over
there.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks,
yeah, man. There you go. 801-208-2649. There you go. All right. We got to get right out here in just about a minute. Got about a minute left here to get talking about the Utah Jazz. I'm looking at the Western Conference standings right here, and the Jazz are nowhere near anybody else. So guess what? The good news is you're playing the last place team in the West, the 16-win San Antonio Spurs. The question is who wins this game tonight? The Jazz are favored in this one. The over-under on this one is I think it was a 228. Do you take the under or the over on this one, Sly? And do the Jazz win this game against the Spurs and Victor Wembanyama?
I don't know, man. Victor doesn't understand, the end of the season stuff. He's just a terror right now. So you can't really say this is going to be an easy win, but I'll take the under in Utah.
Okay. Utah getting the W tonight. That'll be a nice one. So stay tuned right here for your Jazz Radio Network and the pregame. Coach Tim Lacombe, Jake Scott, they're going to carry you all the way through when Locke and Booner have the call. So we'll see you again tomorrow, everybody. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.